Good morning. It is now 11:01, and I'm going to call the Lubbock Electric Utility Board meeting to order. Mr. Mayor, we're glad you're here and you're not frozen someplace.
Thank you. I'm not frozen. I am in my puffy coat, though, to make sure I stay warm.
Well, I like it. It's very becoming. I think we do have someone that will be commenting for public comment. So please come forward. We're delighted to have you. Good morning.
Good morning.
If you'll give us your name, and I think the maximum time is 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. I got legal counsel over here saying 3 minutes, and welcome.
Okay. Good morning, Madam Chair, board members. My name is John Schatz, and I am the chair of the ERCOT Retail Market Subcommittee. And what that committee is a group of market participants. It's the stakeholder process by which we resolve retail electricity issues. And as that relates to Lubbock, there's a smaller group called the Retail Integration Task Force that serves underneath RMS. And so I just wanted to make a couple comments just to let you know how excited we are to have Lubbock as part of the competitive ERCOT market. We're very excited for the customers. Throughout the process, especially on the task force, LPNL, the entire team has been great. They've been very receptive to ideas and guidance. Michael Weingart is a co-chair of the Integration Task Force, and he's served admirably. So kudos to Michael and the LPNL team. Throughout the process, now that the shopping window is open, as I'm sure you've heard, this has gotten real. And we've been planning on the retail side for over 2.5 years, realizing LPNL has had a much longer preparation window. But throughout the process on the retail side, our number one goal is to make sure that every LPNL customer gets to the retail provider that they want to be with. And so the transition process is designed for that. We will execute the transition. We're very excited. And so a few more weeks of the shopping window, and then we'll start transitioning customers. Happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Welcome. We're delighted you're
Thank
here,
you.
and thank you for all your hard work. And we're pretty proud of our folks here in Lubbock. They are top-notch in
Yes,
every
they are.
respect.
Yes, they are.
And the cooperation between ERCOT and LPNL and all, I think, was remarkable. We're kind of 20 years behind what the rest of Texas did. But we're new to the party, but we're glad to be in ERCOT. And you're holding so far. I looked at the reserves. We're going to make it.
We're going to make it.
Hopefully,
Yes, we are.
The storm, this cold weather.
Yes.
Any other comments from board members?
Thank you.
Is there anyone else would like to speak, or do any of the board members want to make comments or opinion or position on any agenda items before we go into executive session? If not, where's my little magic? Tell me what to say. Got it right here. We are now recessing into executive session in accordance with 1 VTCA Government Code 551086 on competitive matters of LPNL, VTCA Government Code 551071 seeking advice of and consultation with LPNL's attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body and the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Government Code, and seeking advice of its attorneys about pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offers, and 3 VTCA Government Code 551.074 to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, and or duties of a public officer or employee, the director, chief administrative officer, and general counsel. Mr. Mayor, do you have a quorum?
We do not have a quorum at this time. I do anticipate we possibly could, so I'm going to go ahead and read us in case that does happen, so we're not backtracking. So City Council, it does not have a quorum at this time, but if two other members do happen to arrive, we will then call into session executive session for the purpose of consulting with city staff regarding competitive matters of the public power utilities under Section 551.086 of the Texas Government Code, pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offers, and hold consultation with attorney under Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, as well as personnel matters under Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. With that, we would be in executive session if that did happen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And the second floor, is that where we're going to? So if somebody wants to leave their coat on their chair, is that okay? Yes. Okay, great. Thank you. See you at the second floor. It is now 12:29, and we'll call the Electric Utility Board meeting to order. And let's see, the next thing is the approval of the minutes from December 19th. Are there, in the special board meeting on the 3rd of January, are there any additions or corrections?
Chair, I'd like to point out that in the meeting minutes for the December 19th, in the board book, there's a repeated page, then there's an omitted page, and the amended page has been provided each one of the members here at the dais.
Okay, and that's page 10,
It would
correct?
be the page 10.
Okay.
Correct.
So the 10 in the board book right now is incorrect. It's a duplicate of 9.
That is
And
correct.
so we are now adding the correct 10 in there. And is everything okay on the January 9th minutes, Mr. Davis?
Yes, I
Okay.
reviewed those, and they look satisfactory with those. With that sheet change, I would move to approve those minutes.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve those minutes with the prescribed page 10 correction. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The motion carries 7-0. Mr. Ivy, are you chute number 8 for us?
Straight out of the chute. Good afternoon, everyone. Just wanted to call your attention to a few things. We're going to see if we can rise up to a challenge and get out of here at 1 o'clock today. The very first thing is our timeline on page 39 of your board packet. If everybody's using your tablets, or if you, I think it's just worthy of note, and I've pointed this out before, and I'm going to keep pointing it out. We're reaching the culmination of 9 years worth of really good hard work to get to this point. So it feels really good to be accomplishing these things. So for the folks on the board and staff especially, all the great hard work that's been put in getting to this point, we're there. We are reaching our new milestones, and this is an awesome achievement. And so for anybody that's newer on the board, just, cherish these moments, because there's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears get us to this point. We certainly appreciate everybody's efforts working together. I will point out on the timeline, we do have some more REP customer workshops, shopping fairs coming up January 22nd and 23rd. And Clint will probably talk about that a little bit more in some detail. But we do have 3 more of those events for people to get to know the retail electric providers and try to get a sense of what this is all about. Our hope is by February 15th, when the shopping window closes, that everybody's got a really good feel for it and 100% of our people have made their choices. That's our goal. The next thing is on page 41 of the board packet, just our calendar. I want to draw the board's attention to March. We do have a spring break week. It does not appear that the board meeting conflicts with that, but it certainly is your pleasure to try to see if you want to move that around or how you want to work it. Madam Chair, I don't believe we need to take any action today. I just want to call everybody's attention to it so you can put some time into thinking about that.
Is everybody okay just leaving it like it is listed on page 41 with the EUB on February 20th, the retreat on February 12th, and regular EUB on March 19th? Is that okay with the members? Okay.
Okay. And then the last thing I had was just a strategic plan, the strategic retreat that we've got coming up at the Overton, and that is on page 43. It's from 11 to 2. And we have heard from Harvey about the financial plan that goes into this strategic retreat. we're gonna put some more nuance around that for you at this meeting. I don't think this is gonna be a long, exhaustive meeting. It's not gonna be a whole lot of stuff that you haven't already heard. For example, we're just gonna be looking for thumbs up, head nod that we're in the right direction, and then we'll take some pictures. But it should be a pretty interesting, but yet pretty relatively brief meeting, would be my thinking. So I think we can get everybody out and maybe beat that time of 2 o'clock. So just,
And, Mr. Ivy, you've invited the city council and the city manager?
Yes, ma'am.
That's on their calendar,
ma'am.
they're aware of it.
just so they know that we're not running berserk or amok or anything else, they are certainly invited to come to this. And we welcome their feedback on it too as well. If there's any other questions about the operating reports or anything we've got in the book, I'm happy to take those. Otherwise, we'll get the meeting started.
Any other questions of Mr. Ivy? And we do have two more, the 22nd and 23rd of January.
Yes, ma'am.
On that time.
Coming up next week.
Okay.
Yes.
No questions?
Okay.
Number 9. Is that you, Harvey? Or, no, we got Clint coming out from the back of the room.
Since Harvey's not going right now, y'all are fresh and ready to listen, because I know once he gets up, you're through. Stick a fork in me. Okay. Listen, I'm sorry, I threw him under the bus. Thank you for having us. Just want to visit with you just real quick about just some things about how our sign-ups have been going and the transition about relaying our information to ERCOT and how that's going through our provider of ESG. So we started last Friday. We had our first, week ago Friday, we had our first workshop. So what happens during that is once you start getting those sign up people, then you have to start sending things into ERCOT. And that's what we started doing that on Friday, testing some stuff. Well, not really testing, it was going live to them. What we found out, we had a problem, but what we found out, there was a file, the file that we were sending was missing a timestamp. So it's got to have a timestamp on it, and that's the thing that was missing, so we didn't know it had to have that on there. So anyway, just to cut to the chase, we stopped the process, we got that fixed real quick, and then we started again. So that was handled quickly by our folks and was very good. Then we also had a problem with ESG on Saturday morning, which some of the files were not being accepted by ESG, and we couldn't figure out why. So a lot of people, our project management folks, they got on the phone, and we got on call, a Zoom call with ESG, the subject matter expert there. We got on call with him Saturday morning, and, you know, within a few hours, we had a solution and had that fixed. So I guess what I'm saying is, this isn't, there's things happening that we did not foresee, or they did not foresee. The problem that we had was ESG was on their side, not ours. And they're the ones who does this for everybody. So they had a problem, which just goes to show you never know that when things are gonna, you know, something's gonna happen. Important thing is get it fixed and go on, and which we did, and that's the thing I'm proud of, is that everybody did what they were supposed to do. Then we started out sending just small batches of Easy ID numbers into ERCOT, just sending those in, the people that had signed up, just small batches to make sure that they all went through and we didn't hang up our side with internet or whatever. But it went through with no problems. And then right now we're we're just letting the files go right now freely to ERCOT, and we're not having any problems whatsoever. So everything's working according to plan. So that's really a good thing, and we're not having any issues with it. As of right before I came this morning at 11, we had 11,957 customers who had signed up with a rep, which is approximately 11% of our customers signed up. So for the first week or two, I mean, that's not bad. You know, everybody's getting used to it. Everybody's doing a lot of studying, but it's really going good. Out of that 11,000, almost 12,000 customers who had signed up, we have 26 retailers who have people that signed up. So you can see that they're picking a wide range of retailers. Right now we have around 50. So about half of them were signed up during that first time. They got somebody that was there. And we only had 17, I believe, retailers that was at the first workshop. So anyway, it worked out really good. Everything is working. If you'll notice on page 40 of your presentation there, your slides, it shows that thermometer looking thing, and I believe it's showing 8,000. Okay, well, that's now 11,957. So you can see how fast they're coming in, because that was just done last week. So I think we're averaging about 1,500 a day, Michael, is that right? About 1,500 new customers coming in a day. So everything's working good. We're getting lots of calls about it. We're answering questions, and that's what we want them to do. The next shopping fair will be January 22nd and 23rd. You know, the good thing about the shopping fairs that come up from now on, it won't be in that hallway that we were in this time. We've got one of the big rooms. The only reason why we didn't have it last time is because we couldn't get one of the big rooms. They were already booked. So we wanted to get started, so that's why we went ahead and picked the hallway and at least let people come and start seeing what they need to do. But the next shopping fairs are January 22nd and 23rd. That's a Monday and Tuesday. So we will be there, and it will be in, I'm not sure if it's in the Civic Center or if it will be in one of the banquet rooms, but it will be a lot larger. For what we'll do is we'll have the reps along the outside of the room, on the outside of the walls, maybe a U-shape on the walls, and then we'll have room in the middle for everybody, have enough room to move around and do what they need to do. And won't be so bottlenecked at some of the retailers that we have there. So that is coming up, and we're anxious for that. That'll be next Monday and Tuesday. It'll be a lot better situation for our customers, for our retailers, and for us as we kind of direct them around. So, you know, it's the first time I've ever seen it's the first time I've ever seen a workshop for reps anyway, but to have a gun show right there next to it's crazy. But anyway, it worked out really good. We directed traffic and kept them coming our way, the ones who wanted to, and let them go to the gun show, the ones that wanted to. So it worked out really, really good. Hours for 22nd and 23rd? 3 to 8, yeah. Be 3 to 8. So we're looking forward to it. We hope you come out and take a look at everything. Talk to some retailers. Just, if nothing else, just to get to know them. That's what I've been trying to do, trying to get to know them one-on-one, ask some questions, get them to answer it, and go from there. But I've learned a lot about them. But some good people, very good people. I want to thank, now John Schatz was here earlier and spoke. Let me tell you, people like TXU, Vistra, NRG, Reliant, all these people, they have been so helpful to us. When we need somebody to test, even though it costs them more work, they've, without a doubt, been willing to do it and helped us test and get what we needed to do. So kudos go out to all of our reps that are helping us, and they have been very, very good. It's really good because you get to know each other and you get to know what they're about. They get to know what we're about, how everybody works, and it's a good situation. So, are there any questions for me? That's about all I have to say.
Yes, I've got a question. The workshops, have we been able to measure the success of those in terms of how many are actually signing up at the workshop? And I guess what I'm getting at, we're at about 11% now. We've got 3 more workshops. Ultimately, are we going to need more workshops, or do we think we're going to get a sufficient enough customers to sign up?
You know, and I'll let Matt speak to that when he comes up too. He's next, and he'll come up and he'll speak about that. But whether we need more workshops or not, I don't know. Remember one thing, that when we start signing up, or when the big property owners or managers and all the apartment complexes and all that sign up, that's going to be a whole lot of connects coming in at one time. So, you know, the 11% that we have now does not include any of those. So it's, you know, you got to keep that in the back of your mind. But we do want to have sufficient amount of time for the customers to come and talk to us. So if that's what's needed, I'll let Matt address that. And
Can we tell if most of that 11% is residential, or is it commercial included?
we've got a few commercial, but it's mostly residential, yes, sir. I'd say 98%, 99% is residential out of those 12,000.
So, an apartment owner or a condo, do you count that as one customer if he or she owns 6 or 7 units?
No, it's per meter.
Per
Each
meter.
meter has an easy ID.
Okay.
So each meter is designated on its own, but if that meter is in the apartment complex's name and they're the ones that pay the bill, they're the ones that get to choose the provider. Now, if that meter is in the tenant's name, they get to choose the provider. But it's whoever the name is in the account, and also whoever's paying the bill. Anything else? Well, thank you for your support. We appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you at the next workshop.
Matt, are you kind of the follow-up on 10, or 9 and 10 were very similar except the last sentence, and you're that last sentence in 10?
And I'm going to try not to repeat. So they gave you most of the information I was going to give you, including the shopping fairs. And Dr. Fields, to your question, we've said all along that we've reserved one shopping fair for the very end of this window, the last Saturday. It gives us room to do more around that weekend if we need to. And I think it's really going to depend a lot on what the crowds look like in this second round. I've been a part of a lot of these types of events, organizing before. In all of my time, I've never seen that many people show up before the doors open. I mean, we had 1,000 people standing out front before we even got, cycling people through. And so I want to see if we get that same type of numbers coming out for events 3 and 4, and then we can take a look if we need to double it up on the backside. But as they said, logistically so much better this time. We will be in that main big exhibit hall for the rest of these events. So we've got plenty of room to spread out and get people, through and signed up.
Are they actually signing up at these shopping?
They were, yeah. People actually can sign up there on site. Saw a lot of people that were just like, I wanted to come get information and then go, and then maybe I'll come back and sign up at the next one. And so I think we can start seeing over this week with no shopping fairs what the daily kind of intake is, and then judge it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, and then see, all right, if there's a big crush of people coming in, signing up in the day after that event, we can take a look at that last weekend and maybe hold another one of those types of events. Civic Center's been really good to us. City manager's been great in terms of waiving all fees. So really it's just logistics more than it is cost or anything else. And we'll just have to see who's booked in. I don't want to do another event where we can't get into one of the exhibit halls. We had to do it because we promised it, but at the same time, it caused those logistical issues on the front end. But I will say that if you take it over the entire weekend, that first couple of hours on Friday, yes, people were waiting a long time to get through, but starting about hour 3 through Saturday, We really didn't have much in terms of lines, and everybody cycled through pretty well. But we need to do a better job and get with the reps on this next one to make sure that every single one of them has plenty of fact sheets printed out. Really trying to suggest these guys have rate sheets printed out. That's one of the other complaints we got back, were that we focus so much on fact sheets and people checking them, that sometimes you can overeducate and people show up and they get angry when they don't all have fact sheets. So I'm not going to complain about too much enthusiasm or folks knowing exactly what to ask for, but now we got to make sure that reps and ourselves bring those materials for the second one. One other thing I just want to mention very quickly in terms of communications, and it's going to be something we're focusing on a lot in the next couple of weeks, because we're already hearing it, is drilling in and really further explaining what our delivery rate is, how that is broken down, and how these rates that they're seeing in the competitive market compare to what they are paying today, but importantly, what they would have paid had we stayed in the market long term. And so you're going to see that starting with a news story tomorrow night with KCBD, but you'll see me talking a lot about that in the coming weeks to say that we can project that your rate this summer, being at 16.7 cents, is right there in the ballpark with all of these TXUs and Reliance and everybody else that you're seeing. But we understand right now that customers are comparing their winter rate to what their prospective rate is going forward, and we just need to make sure we drill down and explain to them that it's not a 50 or 60% increase. It's pretty even to where we would have been. And so again, this goes back to trying to find a provider that you feel the most comfortable with. And there are some in the market that are lower than us that are an option to folks. So that's going to be one of our main emphases going forward, beyond just getting people out to the shop here and signing up. Last thing I'll say is that they mentioned that thermometer that's in your board packet. It's on our website now on the homepage of the competition section. We've got it fixed at 8% because that's where we were when we updated it last. But as they said, we're now at about 10%, so we'll probably update that today. But if any given moment somebody asks you, you can check the website, and right up front, it'll tell you what percentage of customers have chosen.
Quick question, it's more just information for me. Is it real time or is it batch time, those files that are moved over?
Real time, isn't it?
Real time.
Yeah, real time. And so we're not, we're probably not going to be, now we're at 17, now we're 18, now we're at 20. We'll probably wait a few days and do it maybe in multiples of 5 or something like that. But I want to have a pretty accurate number up there at all times so that I can start telling people that this is not an insurmountable task. 30, 40% of your neighbors have gotten this completed in the first few weeks. You can do this too, and really start pushing that, where are you at on this decision, so that people do make a choice.
Okay, just to clarify, so if I sign up with a service provider, the next day it's there, or at the same time I sign up? That's what I meant by real time. Not necessarily the thermostat.
No, the thermostat is me.
Yeah.
That's me updating it as we kind of hit these different levels. But for them, they should have a count every day of, 11,396 or, that type of.
Real time,
yes.
not batch time.
Mm-hmm.
Based on when they put it into the system.
Right.
Yeah.
It's real time.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
You have to run a batch report to get it out.
Yeah. So we have to run a report to get it out, but yes, it's.
Manual, hey, tell me the number.
Okay, so
That
it's
makes
not
sense.
real time, it's batch time. Thank you.
Yes.
Gonzalo, did you have a question?
Yes, Madam Chair. Well, a comment real quick. Thank you for that commercial that says that LPNL is not an option. Wearing this lapel pin has caused a lot of concerns in that area.
That's the question I answered the most in the months leading up to this, but maybe we've hit that enough that folks have moved on, and now it's the rate and it's the comparative cost. But I didn't have to answer that as much this weekend. If anybody asked me at the fairs, it was more of a kind of lamenting that we weren't in the market, but not asking why they can't choose us.
Right, now my question has to do with, we don't call it a down payment, a deposit.
Mm-hmm.
Have we been hearing anything about deposits, concerns?
I've not heard any concerns coming back through our channels. I've been monitoring it through social media chatter and Nextdoor and things like that. And what I'm seeing is kind of a community of folks out there saying, I went with this company or this company, and these were my options for reducing or eliminating my deposit, and then people are taking that and going. So people are adding in their anecdotal example as they go through. The rate comparisons are really what have kind of risen in the first week of this, not necessarily the deposit. But I'm watching that because that was such a focus in all of our town hall meetings that I'm watching to see when that starts rising up a little bit, and we need to go back to doing more explanation on that. I did a lot up front in the town halls talking about it, but now that people get it assessed and it's an actual dollar amount, we're watching closely to see if they start calling in and complaining about that or complaining in other areas. Because that'll come at some point, at some level. You just have to imagine.
Do other board members have questions? I have two.
Sure.
Have the libraries been inundated or useful or?
I haven't heard that they've been inundated, but I've heard of people going to the libraries, and I know that they continue to print out materials, and they haven't called back to me for reinforcement. So I know that they're still doing it on a regular basis, and people are using that. I've heard stories of people going to libraries already to use their computers to research and sign up.
Okay, so that piece
Yes,
is
ma'am.
working.
Mhm.
Okay. My second question is, I wanted to make sure that I understood that in a go-forward, if we were still doing this, we'd be at 16.7 cents.
Yes.
And if people are looking backward, it's going to be different because the gas of price, which is the main driver, is going to be different this summer than it was previously. I just
We've
want to make sure
loaded,
that that's.
yeah, we've loaded up on the website, and I've talked a lot about this band of cost historically. And so there's a chart up there right now that shows going back 3 years, 2 years, and last year, showing that we're at 13.9 cents and then 17.5 cents all in, and then 14.1 where we are today. We're going to add on to that and say this is where we would be if we were, staying another summer. But to your point, yes, our folks are out there looking, they're out there buying power in our last month in the market, but they're looking at the pricing this summer, and they can see that the pricing in the market is, $40 higher than it was, last summer, and that's how we can project what our costs would be.
Okay, so we do have on our website that 16.7 cents
Not yet.
benchmark.
Not
Oh,
yet.
it's
We'll
going
have,
to
that'll be up there this afternoon.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
because
that was
we,
my question.
yeah, because we put the historical stuff up at Market Open, and then Joe worked through that analysis, and I've got that now, so I'm gonna put that up there today.
Thank you.
And it'll be used for that interview tomorrow as well.
So that's a good number for all of us to
Yes.
remember too.
Yeah, that's just, your standard residential rate this summer would have been 16.7.
Any other questions of Matt? Again, thank you for your efforts. You've got your roller skates on, and thank you.
Thank y'all.
Okay, number 11. Harvey, are you ready?
I am. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction on some things, and then Casey's going to take over on the detail of it. So I just want to refresh for our SPS settlement. So when we settled out with SPS with our partial requirements, I just want to walk through real quickly the high-level impacts to our financial statements, because it does have an impact when you flush through $65 million through it. You'll see some impact. So it came in two parts. So part of it was the $4 million additional payment that we made. We made that payment in November, and that came through, and it's in. And so when Casey shows you the November financial statements, that $4 million payment to us, that additional payment, is going to be reflected in there. You'll see it in purchase power cost. I'll let her walk you through that. So that's part one. Now and then the final settlement payment of the $65.7 million, as that flushes through, there's a couple of different impacts on our financial statement. One is we need to recognize a one-time non-operating expense in our income statement. And because that was known and foreseeable, in other words, you could accrue for it, we knew what the amount was going to be, and there was a reasonable expectation it would hit, that's going to show up in our September or year-ending financial statements for the prior fiscal year. So that's going to show as an event that occurred in September of 2023. And the reason why is that was the month at which FERC gave its approval for the payment. So you'll see this one-time non-operating expense, we call it below the line. You'll see that expense show up. That's not in our statements. That's currently being taken care of now. So that's one thing to just be aware of. The other thing too is we'll show the cash and the debt flowing through and the cash flowing through in December when we executed the bond and we received the proceeds for the bond. And then you'll see a payment, a cash outflow, not an expense, because we recognized it. In January, we'll see the expense going out of the $65.7 million because we paid SPS. The net impact of all of that for our cash is zero, because we went ahead and we funded it through the bonds. So what you're gonna see is, you'll see the cash come in and you'll see the cash go out, but our net cash position won't be impacted that because we borrowed those funds. The thing that we will see going forward is gonna be the ongoing debt service of that bond issuance that you'll see. That's an average of about $4.8 million a year. That's already been assumed in, as Joe presented the budget and the financial model, that amount, actually a higher amount's in there because we expected that to be about $5.8 million based on our information. Our actual cost is gonna be $4.8 million, so we've got this $1 million benefit, or I'll call it tailwind in our budget, you'll see going forward. I just wanted to do just a quick high level, just so you catch the flavor of that. We'll come back and talk about it more, and if you have more detailed questions, Casey loves to answer these questions. She loves that. Anyway, but I just thought I'd give you a high level. Any questions on that?
Any questions of Harvey? Thank you, Harvey. You're always helpful.
Okay. Okay, great.
Casey, come on in and fill in between the lines there.
Okay, so we'll be going through our November financials. So I'll just start with our cash. We see an increase in cash of $4.8 million. If you look at our cash flows, you can see there was a $5.8 million positive cash flow in our operating activities. And we also had a negative $3 million in our financing activities, and that's gonna be due to spending on our capital projects. So they haven't done the drawdown for these yet, so I'm not quite sure how much will be refunded by bonds, but some will be refunded by bonds, probably in January is when they're gonna, December or January, and we'll start seeing those being refunded. Then we're also gonna have a positive cash flow in our investing activities of $2.2 million. So we did have a small refund on October expenses, and then the rest of that is also gonna be just interest income. Going to our liabilities, you can see that there was an increase in our PPRF of $3 million since October. And then we also had an increase in our other current liabilities of $2.5 million. Put that down what this was. And that's gonna be accrued interest payable that caused that increase. So overall, we have about a $5 million increase in our current liabilities. And so that's gonna bring our net position down $4.8 million from the previous month. One thing I do wanna mention, going back to what Harvey was talking about, the $4 million additional payment, so that we put that as a purchase power cost. It still needs to come out of our PCRF balance. So our PCRF balance should be about $4 million lower than it is right now. So if this will all be trued up in December, but if it had occurred in November, we'd be looking about $800,000 down instead of $4.8 million down from the net position of the month before. I also want to mention, Harvey told you all the impacts of the $65 million when we start seeing hit at our books. So I just wanted to give you a little bit more detail about where we'll see that and how we'll see it. In December, what we're gonna see is we're gonna see $65 million hit our restricted investments. So that's gonna be the issuance of the bond. And then it's also gonna hit our bond payables. But we're also gonna see it hit our accounts payable since we had to book it back to September. So there's gonna be a $65 million increase in our accounts payable just until that payment's made. It will wash out in January, but it will also cause a $65 million decrease in our net position. So you won't see it, you'll see it in September, the decrease, but it will zero out, since it's cumulative moving forward. But I just wanted y'all to know that was coming. In January, you'll see it move out of our payables and you'll see it move out of our restricted investments as we move that bonds up to cash to actually make the payment. Moving over to our financial ratios, we do have an increase of our days cash on hand, and that's going to be because of our $4.8 million increase in cash. And then our operating ratio, so last month it was at 8.36. It's been sitting in between 8.3 and 8.5. You can see this month it's 0.959. That's going to be because of that $4 million payment. So that's increasing our purchase power expenses, but we're not getting the increase on the revenue. Once we move that $4 million through the PCRF balance, we should see this stabilize next month. And then in our current ratio, we did have a small decrease from 2.10 to 1.98. We're gonna see this either maybe stay the same or decrease slightly again, because we are gonna have a payment this year associated with the new bond. So that's gonna move to our current bonds payable and our current liabilities. Okay, moving on. So at this point in time, we should be about 17% of our budget. You can see that in the T-cost revenue and the ERCOT hold harmless payment, as well as charges for services, we're coming in right and on budget. In our purchase power, we're coming in at 22%. That's gonna be because of the $4 million payment that we made. And then in our departmental expenses, we're under budget at 14%. Now you can see that our operating income, it was right at budget at 8% last month. Now it's gone back down to 4%. And once again, that's gonna be a result of us not moving that $4 million to the PCRF balance. Had we done that, we would have actually been under collected $1 million, and our operating income would have been a positive $2.3 million rather than a negative 1.7. So we would have been slightly under budget on the operating income, but more in line with the 17% than what we are right now. So we should see all that true itself back up in December. Do any of y'all have any questions for me?
No, thank you very
All
much.
right, thank y'all.
Number 12, the resolution concerning an amendment to our principal staffing. Who's going to be doing that? Are you looking around for yourself?
Everybody take one step back.
You thought somebody was going to rescue you?
This is simply an amendment to an agreement that we've been having for a good long time with principal services, principal staffing, excuse me. Primarily, we have a consultant. Did Pam make it today? Nope. I wanted to call her out and give her some kudos. Pam Shaw is a consultant that has been working with her team over in the business office to make sure that our systems are in conformance with how we need them to perform, and a little bit of how you've heard Clint talking about. She came to us with experience through Sherryland, who went through the similar process, I think it was 2012, 2011 timeframe. So her experience has been invaluable. She can stand before ERCOT representatives and speak to things that we don't have any experience with, and that really helps our team quite a bit. So primarily is to make sure that we can extend her time here as we work through the inevitable bugs that we're going to have over the next several months. We'll probably reach a steady state, I'm thinking by September. Everything's working the way that it's supposed to be, and we feel pretty good about where we're at. But this doesn't increase the not-to-exceed amount or anything like that. We have used this contract for other purposes besides just her, but this is the primary purpose of this one now.
I hear a motion to the effect to extend this for a year.
Chair, I'll move that we extend this for a year.
Mr. Davis extends. Second by Mr. Wilson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I would like to, Clint, during all of this time, I think Ashley and your folks have really done yeoman's work. Is Ashley here today?
She is not.
She's working, or she's here?
She's
working.
Yeah.
Those folks have done a great deal, and for there just to be 2 hiccups with the timestamp and the other part with, who was it, ESG on their end, pretty remarkable. So please extend our best wishes and appreciation to your staff for doing that. I know our linemen were great on the interconnect, and your folks have been great here. So, Mr. Ivy, you got a superb team of employees.
We do, but you actually have to say something good about engineering while they're here too, so they're going to feel slighted. Luke, you can't leave Luke out.
If there's nothing else to come before the board, the meeting is adjourned.